What's up guys, welcome back to Raising the Nuts. This is part 2 of the Florida trip for me. Today I'm going to go into some tournament hands. Interested in know what you guys think about the tournament vlogs versus cash game vlogs. Seems like the cash game ones seem to get a little bit more views and some more interaction. I like kind of doing a mix of both. I do play both. I went yesterday and played the $1,700 buy-in WSOP Circuit Main event at Coconut Creek. We started with 30,000 in chips. This was day 1A, so there's day 1A and day 1B, so we'd have an opportunity to play both days if I didn't bag. Got settled in, missed the first couple levels, was dealing with a little bit of a migraine yesterday. Definitely need to catch up on some sleep, but was feeling pretty good once I got to the poker room. Like I said, we started with 30,000 in chips. The first hand of note came up at the 200, 400 level. Unfortunately, this tournament was not using the big blind ante, which is obviously frustrating, but they said they're gonna be moving to the big blind ante, I guess, in the next season of the circuit events. Player in mid position opens to 900. I call in the cutoff with ace queen offsuit, and we take the flop heads up. The flop comes ace 9-5 with 2 hearts, and he checks it over to me, and I bet 1100, and he pretty quickly makes a call. Feeling pretty good about my hand right now and looking to get a clean run out to get 3 streets of value. The turn is an offsuit deuce, which obviously shouldn't change too much. He checks and I bet 2400, and he calls pretty quickly once again. And the river's an offsuit 5, so the flush draw misses, and I think I have a 3rd street of value here to get, so he checks. And I go ahead and bet 5,100, and he doesn't call it too much hesitation, and I'm good. And so I off to a great start there. Was able to win quite a few more pots. The table was pretty good for me. This hand came up at 2,500. The under the gun player limps in. I'm under the gun 1 and raised to 1,800 with ace king of clubs. The player next to me shoves all in for 16,550. Gets back to me. I make the pretty easy call, and he has pocket 9s, so out there for a race. The flop comes down Queen 10-8 with 2 clubs. So a lot of equity for me. Unfortunately for me, we get a terrible turn in river, just an offsuit 3 and an offsuit 4, and double him up in a pretty big pot. The next important hand comes up at the 400, 800 level. It folds to me on the button, and I raise to 2,000 with pocket 9s, and I have about 32,000 to start the hand. The big blind has a similar stack and shoves all in. So I took a few seconds here just to think it over, because it is a pretty sizable jam, but ultimately I felt like he might just be kind of over it. So I made the call, and he had ace-6 offsuit, and we were able to hold to get a pretty big double up there to, you know, around 64,000, 65,000. Shortly after that, another pretty interesting hand comes up. I open to 20, we're at the 400, 800 level, and I open to 2,200 in early position with pocket 10s. Player next to me calls, the player in the cutoff calls, and the big blind calls. So we take the flop 4 ways. The flop comes down Jack 10-9 with 2 spades. So I flop middle set here on a very wet board texture. Big blind checks. I check it over to the player next to act, who bets 3,500. The big blind calls, and we have similar stack size to both players, I believe. I decide to call, as I don't think that raising here is necessarily great. Obviously it's a very wet board, but this flop should hit the player to my left when he bets. He should have a pretty strong hand a lot of time. And so I kind of want to just take the turn and see what develops. The turn's an offsuit 7, big blind checks, I check, and now the player in mid position bets 8,000. Big blind calls, and now it's back to me. When the player next to me bet again, I felt pretty confident that he had flopped a straight, just because it's unlikely that he'd continue betting this turn with a set or with a draw, as you don't really want to get blown off your equity when you got called in 2 spots on the flop. You know, it's pretty unlikely that either of us is going to raise, so maybe you could have a hand like a flush draw that would keep betting, like ace queen of spades or something like that, but I'm not sure. At the time, I just felt like he was pretty strong, so I ended up just making the call, hoping for the board to pair on the river here to win a big pot. The river is the ace of spades. Interesting card as the flush gets there. The player most likely to have the flush on this exact run out is probably the big blind. He goes ahead and checks, I check, and the middle position player thinks a while and then checks back, and he has king queen of clubs, so we do avoid losing a huge pot there. You know, I noticed this. I actually don't like saying we. I like saying I, but my mind just says we over and over again, and I don't know why that happens. And I'm trying not to say we, but I just keep doing it. Anyway, end up losing a decent sized pot, but could have obviously been a lot worse. I would have enjoyed a board pairing river there, but That's okay. Get away with only losing, about 14K or 15K on the hand. At 600, 1200, I have 31K open to 2700 with King Jack offsuit middle position. The big blind calls, and the flop comes King Jack 9 with 2 diamonds. He checks, I bet 3500, and he shoves for about 17K. I make the quick call, obviously, and he has King 10. We avoid I just said we again. And I avoid the queen on the turn or river to win a pretty important pot. Then at the 2400 big blind level, I get the dream spot. Player in middle position opens to 6500. I have 59K and make it 16K with pocket aces. To my surprise and delight, the big blind shoves all in, having both of us covered, and the middle position player snap calls. I obviously snap call as well. The big blind has ace-king offsuit. Middle position player has pocket queens, and I'm able to hold up on a all low card board for a massive triple up to around 188,000 chips. That's a spot you dream of in a tournament, to get it in 3 ways with pocket aces and to hold up. I lose a few small pots towards the end of the night and end up bagging up 155,000, which is 25th out of the remaining 80 players, 353 players on day 1A. Today's day 1B, and we'll be back at it on Sunday. But I'm gonna play some cash games again today. Not sure what games, I don't know. It's very tricky here because in Florida, a lot of the games are private games, even though they're in the casino. So I'm gonna try to get into some of the bigger games. If I can't get into the bigger games, then I will just play 2-5 or 5-10 maybe at Coconut Creek. I don't believe is private, so we'll see what I can get into today. Yesterday was my 3rd day on the trip. I played cash all day. I played in a 10, 25, 50 game at the Isle for about 3 hours. Not too many interesting hands to report from there.
My dad was really tired in Florida, so I'm here to go over those hands. He got you, Dad! The game was 10, 25, 50 at the Isle, and my dad bought in for $7,000. In the first hand, middle position, limps. My dad raises the $200 on the button with pocket nines. The straddler calls and middle position calls, even though they both have no chance to win. No. The flop comes 8 of clubs, 6 of clubs, 5 of diamonds. The action comes to my dad and he bets $300. I like this bet. The straddle calls and the middle position folds. My dad definitely has the best hand right now, so he's looking for a good turn card. The turn is an offsuit 5, and the straddle decides to lead for $800. I actually like this play. The straddler should have more 5s than my dad. But my dad is going anywhere, so in your face. And so he makes the call. The pot is now $2,800. The river card is an offsuit jack. The straddler thinks for a very long time, and my dad is just hoping he bets a huge amount so he can snap his face off. But eventually the straddler checks. My dad decides to check that, and he beats Queen 7 of clubs. Ship it!
It was a quick session, game broke, and decided to head over to Coconut Creek and get a 5-10 game started. That game was pretty boring for the most part, and then it got a little wild.
So the game got wild because one player can change the game very quickly. Most hands were played 5, 10, 25. The new player in the game was getting all in with any 2 cards and winning most of the hands. We are into this game for 3,000 and have 4,000 in front of us. Middle position opens to 100. My dad calls with pocket queens and the cutoff. The big blind raises to $400. Middle position player calls. My dad sticks in the back raise at 1,400. The big blind makes the call. The middle position folds. Big blind's rage at this point is any 2 cards. The flop comes 9, 6, 5 rainbow. The big blind checked, and my dad shouts for 2,600. I don't know if I like his shelf. I bet we could get the big blind to go all in if we bet a smaller amount. The big blind plays for a long time, and he folds 4 deuce off, so we win the pot, but we could have won more. Next hand, my dad's stack is 5,500. The button has 6,500. My dad raises $225 with ace king of clubs. The button makes the call, and 3 other players call. The flop comes 7 of clubs, 5 of clubs, and 2. My dad decides to check, which is okay. The button bets $500. It's back on my dad. I think you could go with a check raise here, or a call is fine too. He decides to call. The turn is an offsuit 10. My dad once again checks. The button bets $1,000. Again, my dad could raise, but I don't think the button would fold any better hands. He will call all in it with any pair. He ain't scared, so my dad just calls. The river is offsuit 3, so my dad does not improve. He checks, and the button bets $1,400. And now he has to make the decision if he wants to call ace high. The button can have any pair still, and ace 4 and 6-4 got there. So my dad decides to fold. And the button chose queen 8 offsuit. He got you dead! Last hand, same opponent as previous 2. He's down to $1,600. He raises 100 the gun to $100. Middle position raises to $300. My dad makes it $1,100 with pocket tens. Under the gun shoves $1,600. Middle position fold. Dad calls. The board runs out ace, ace 2, 6 ace, and the under gun shows it 2 and bucks. Hey, daddy! My dad won $2,000 in the Isle game and $3,200 in the Coconut Creek game. This is barely enough money for me to afford cheer. Do better, Dad.
But yeah, so overall a great day on day 3. Won $5,200 for the day. Played a little over 10 hours of cash games. Just a really fun, productive day to be able to get that kind of grind in. Then this morning was day 2 of the WSOP Circuit event. And I'm sitting here at 2:30 on Sunday. This is day 4 of my trip. And I'm in the room here on this ugly couch. So that will tell you that things didn't work out the way that I wanted them to. And this is a little bit tough for me because the hand that I played out, I feel like I probably made a mistake in. Although I'll listen to all of your feedback. I've already gotten some feedback from some great players. I've listened to what they have to say. But it's really easy to beat yourself up after a hand that you played where you think you made a pretty big mistake. So I did a little meditation on the Prime Mind app called Letting Go of Mistakes, and just kind of thinking of all the things that I'm grateful for. And you know, it's tough. I'm a really competitive person, and I really hate the feeling of making a mistake, but you know, you have to learn from it and you have to move on. So let me tell you what the hand was. So there's about 130 players remaining in the tournament, 81 players being paid. I started the hand with 145,000 chips, and we're at the 2,000, 4,000 blind level. Under the gun opens to 9,000. I call in the cutoff with 8-9 of diamonds. The button makes the call, and then the big blind makes the call, so we take the flop 4-way. Just a little note here, the button previously, 2 hands before he was in the big blind, he defended a raise from early position to 9,000. The flop came jack 7-6 rainbow, and he led 40,000 into the 26,000 chip pot, and then tanked forever and folded to a jam for 105,000 total, for 65,000 more. So there's just a little bit of history there. So in this hand, the flop comes down 9-7-5 with 2 hearts. 2 players check to me, and I have a decision here. I can either bet or check, and I'm really not sure which is best. I ended up deciding to check, and then the button goes all in for 170,000 chips. The other 2 players quickly fold, and the action is back to me, and I have a very strange situation here. I've actually had this situation come up in a few tournaments prior, which may have been on my mind. Pot's only 40,000 and I have 136,000 behind. So, you know, I'm not getting a good price at all. I have top pair and a gut shot. In this situation, a lot of times the players weighted heavily towards draws, but if he ever shows up with a hand like 9x of hearts, I'm in really bad shape. If he shows up with a hand just like ace-9, I'm not in great shape either. So it's a lot of chips. It's a really weird situation, very difficult situation, I think. I ultimately ended up calling, and the player showed ace-9 of hearts, and I didn't get there, and I busted. Some of the things that I've talked about with my friends after busting in the spot, accumulating chips in tournaments is obviously really important. If you can get a huge stack before the bubble, you can then apply a lot of pressure, and you know, you're really trying to win the tournament. You know, min cashing tournaments is you know, you're not really playing tournaments to min cash. You're really trying to win the tournament and accumulate a lot of chips to get there. So taking a chance like this might not be the worst idea. Other things to consider though is that our equity may be really bad a lot of the times, like it was in this particular spot when he had ace-9 of hearts. Additionally, if he does just have 2 overs and a flush draw, he still has pretty good equity against us, and the price that we're getting is not very good. You know, there's going to be a lot more situations where I can fold here and have 33 big blinds and still have the chance to accumulate a lot of chips. So a lot of different things going through my head there. Ultimately, obviously, in this particular situation, as results turned out, you know, I made the wrong decision based on what his actual hand was. Live and learn and let go of the mistakes and move on to the next one. So far, it's been a great trip. I'm gonna go, like I said, I just did my meditation. I'm gonna go play some more cash tonight and then wrap it up, and I'm heading home tomorrow.
How bad did my dad play that 8-9 hand? Let me know in the comments down below how bad he is.
Alright guys, last morning for me on the ugly couch. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning, heading home back to the airport. Yesterday, after busting the tournament, I went over to the aisle, hopped into a 2-5 game, and there wasn't any bigger game going, so I figured I'd just grind out a nice little session at 2-5.
He got you dead! Slumming it down at 2-5, under the gun channel to 10. My dad raises to $40 with 6-7 of hearts. They take the flop 5 ways. My dad flops a magical flop. 3, 4, 5 with 2 hearts. This is what dreams are made of. The small blind overshoves $250. And obviously my dad calls. Everyone else folds. The turn is 5. That's troublesome. Because this guy's 125 years old. The livers are 8. And my dad obviously loses to pocket 3. It should be illegal to lose on that hand with that flop. Final hand of the trip. My dad opens $20 with pocket 10s. I go to the flop 5 ways. The flop is King 10-5, all spades. It checks to my dad. He bet $60. Both small blind and big blinds call. The turn is a beautiful all suit 6. And it checks to my dad. Both players have $250 left. So I think he should definitely go all in, which he does. Both players call. We're looking for the board to pair or no spade to come. Whoever's off to 2, my dad chooses him, and the husband and wife both muck. So my dad wraps his trip up with a $1,000 win.
Alright guys, so the wrap up for the trip, day 1 lost $2,420 in 8.5 hours of cash games. Day 2 played the tournament for 9 hours. Day 3 won $5,186 in 10 hours. And day 4 busted the tournament, so that was minus $1,700. And won $1,037 in the cash game, over 7 hours total. So total results for the trip, plus $2,103 in 34.5 hours of poker. So played a lot of poker. Obviously could have gone a bit better, could have gone worse for sure, but I'm happy with the way that I played. It was just really cool to be able to just grind a bunch and just put in a bunch of hours playing live poker like old time. You know, playing online every day is a little bit isolating, and all the interactions I had with people in all the games that I played were just really positive, and it was fun to meet a lot of different people and get out in the live poker streets, play some big games, play everything from 2-5 up to 10, 25, 50. Thanks for joining me, and I'm heading home. Alright, I'm home, picking up the kids from camp because it's President's Day. Oh, wow, I look terrible. I'm really tired. So I had the obligatory kids reacting to me arriving home.
I'm gonna go tell Mr. Jimmy that we're leaving.
You want to just say you're excited to see me?
Are you filming?
Are you excited to see me?
Wait. I wanted you to stay there because I wanted you to get more cash. I hope you enjoy my analysis. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment down below, give us a big thumbs up for you to be